Hype behind a game can be a fickle thing. The course of the game can be completely changed by the hype behind it, and we can see this happening throughout the entire gaming community all throughout. But hype can't just surround AAA games that show off their games at E3 conferences and PAX conferences and all kinds of stuff like that. Somehow hype found its way into the indie industry too, and one of the most notable examples of this phenomenon is No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky was supposed to change the survival sandbox genre as we know it, but it was received with less than stellar reviews. But why did this game get such bad reviews, you say? Well, for one, the game absolutely sucked, but the overhype did not help with the problem either. This game was hyped from the beginning, showing off these really amazing trailers, very cinematic trailers with so-called gameplay and amazing visuals accompanied with survival aspects shown throughout these trailers. But because of this overhype, we have conditioned ourselves to believe that this is going to be the best game of the year. And when it came out, it was anything but that. Overhype can be partly our fault as well. We developed these huge, unbelievable expectations that not even Half-Life 3 can meet. But of course, it's definitely not even close to all of our fault. Some companies have learned to deal with the hype issue by releasing the same friggin' game every single year. Yeah, that's right, I'm talking about those yearly releases like Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, even the Madden NFL games, which come out with sequels every year that are supposed to change the game, but it's literally the exact same formula with a different coat of paint. And yet, they still keep selling copies. Why is this? It's because these games are directed to a central audience that buys these games every year and allows these companies to make do with what they can get. Now, I'm not saying you're a terrible person for buying these games. It's your money, you can do whatever you want with it. I'm saying that the audience of these games are very cut and dry. It's not very diverse. The same people like the same games every year. And it's because the developers have learned how to deal with hype and completely block it out altogether by releasing trailers that tailor to the audience of their game. Except for Infinite Warfare, of course, because everyone hated that hot garbage. And I mentioned earlier that we have these terrible expectations for almost every game that is overhyped that is going to be better than The Witcher 3. Now, of course, it is partially our fault, but it is also the fault of the developers using hype as a means of exploiting the launch day sales. Sometimes developers can look at their game and realize that it's a hot pile of garbage, but then they can just build hype over it using really cinematic trailers and all kinds of different gameplay trailers to make the opening day sales more profitable. But sometimes the game is just hot garbage, and when it finally releases and all those people who were succumbed to the overhype buy the game and start sinking their teeth into it, it comes out stale. Because not every game can be like The Witcher 3. Sometimes games are just complete garbage from launch date. But then you say to me, so what you're saying is that hype is a deciding factor on whether a game is good or not. Now that's just not true. Over the years, we've had some gems come out of seemingly nowhere and crush out even some AAA developers. From 2015, Undertale was a great example of this. This game came out of absolutely nowhere and was praised as a very intuitive and creative RPG. Today, Undertale is sitting at around 80,000 copies sold on Steam. And then there's the yearly release Call of Duty of that year, Black Ops 5, which sold around 20,000 copies to this day. This just makes me happy inside. So what is the best way to handle hype for the release of a game? The answer is simple. How about we just don't have any of it? I feel like if your game can stand on its own 2 feet, then you shouldn't have to overhype it with these huge cinematic trailers and E3 presentations to get the player interested in it. Now, of course, they need to show trailers and gameplay trailers and all stuff like that. That's completely fine. But they don't need to intentionally overhype the game so that players are completely disinterested at launch. But then there's people like Nintendo who don't even give a crap about anything that the players know.